Welcome back everybody. Then we're finally back. Okay, before the break we went through the Excel template. I showed you what needs to be answered. I gave them a non-conformity, they answer it. Okay, we have now finished with the Excel template. Let's look at the testing part. Okay, the testing part, and this is RM2. Okay, RM2. Let's look at that. Let me get that up. Okay, get that up there. There it is. 2, and is that next on list? Yes, it is. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit so we can get a little bit better. Okay, and here we can already see, as I said earlier today, that not all of the test has a completeness test or a sufficiency test. Sometimes the completeness test is none, and sometimes the sufficiency test is none, meaning that you don't need to do it. And here you can see that I've written it, but I think that maybe I should show it so that you can just see it for yourself how it looks like in the documentation itself. And here you can see it, page 30. Okay, let's go over here. Consider that. And this is one. Let's just zoom it out a little bit here so you can see that. Is whether the authentication are required per M. Okay, and it says this function is not necessary. Okay, so that means that here you don't need to do it. So this is how it will look like. Okay, so whether that required, and it says none. I think it will say here it is much more better written. The functional completeness assessment is covered by the functional sufficiency assessment. So it here says very clearly that covered by sufficiency, and therefore this functional completeness assessment is not necessary. So this is how it will look like. You will then, if you see this, then you know that the completeness test does not need to happen. And the same thing, if sufficiency test is not necessary, then it will say something similar to this. So now you at least know how it will look like. So yeah, it will basically, this last statement will always be there to tell you straight up if it's none or if it's needed. So okay, then since there's no completeness test, we will then just focus on the sufficiency test. Sufficiency test. Perform an authentication in order to verify entity's claim and check whether the authentication mechanism, password, key, etc., is implemented and working as documented. Okay, let's see what the test is. Check that all authentication mechanisms documented are working as documented. This includes authentication mechanism found through network interface and user interface. Okay, this is what they have given. Let's zoom out a little bit. A little bit difficult to, yeah, I have to be a little bit mean to myself here and admit that I should have done a little bit better here. There. So, it will be now up to you guys to decide if their answer is good enough for the test that it has been performed. So I will give you, of course, 4 minutes to answer if this is good enough or not, and then I will hear from you. So I will see you in 4 minutes. Okay, evaluators. Now the test this time, last time, because I shown you 2 tests, and the first time it was not good enough, but the second time it was good enough. Maybe is this good enough or not good enough? Daniel, what has the audience said?
The audience has said a couple of things. So the first one is test result equal pass, looks good to us. Another one says it looks okay for me. Another one said for me is okay. Another one said need a test with incorrect key to make sure that everything is configured correctly and that only the correct key can connect and not any key. So those are the inputs. What do you think, Oscar? Is this correct?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, you could have tested the key also. Yeah, I see that. But just for simplicity here, I will say that this is good enough. My goal is just that you can see. I will say this is sufficient now. But of course, you can make a very good argument that hey, can I see what key if it fits? Yeah. So yeah. Very good scene. I will then let me just see if I have anything remarks. I don't. Yeah, I think yeah. So the next thing, because I'm looking at the time, is that I promised you earlier today that we will do some testing. So to make sure that we also get to do the testing, I will go through some of the Excel templates where the testing will be, because as you can see down here at these tabs, there are 2 that we normally get a lot of questions on how they are going to do testing, and that is SCM and RLM. So I will go through them just so you can get like an overview before we do the testing itself. So we have Øyvind with us. He will do the testing, but let me first go through how this is done and what you need to know about them. What you need to know about this there. Okay, so the first thing in this example, and one thing I want you to know from the SCM, because you guys now know how the information identifier works, you know how to answer them, you know also now that, okay, I have to give a little bit in-depth, not too in-depth, not multiple paragraph, but at least a couple of sentences about what the information identifier is trying to ask you for. But one thing I wanted to show you here is that in the SCM1, there's a lot of information identifiers on the required one. And get ready, because there's a lot. And as you can see, this is a lot of information identifier. And one thing that I see a lot of people do mistakes on is that when they give an answer, they don't give an answer on what information identifier they're answering. So if I asked you, where can I find an answer for this information identifier, you'll be looking through here it's going to take a long time, because you have to go through all of this and try to find, okay, which one is giving an answer to this information identifier. But over here, you can see it immediately. Okay, where is manage is over here. So, okay, an information identifier here, and here is the answer for that. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that when you give an answer to an information identifier, remember, for your own sake and also for the evaluator's sake, to write, okay, which one are you answering, and then you can write an answer under there so that you can immediately find it. So, I just want to make sure that you know about that. Then we can move over to RLM, just so you can show, because I have to make sure that the testing also is done, so I have to show that to make sure. So basically here, the main takeaway here is that when you have so many information identifiers, remember to write which one you're answering, like this, so that it makes it much more easier. Over here, basically this requirement, if I can get it over here, let's take standard one. it's about this, how secure communication is done. So that is what we're going to show a test for. Okay, let's move to RLM. Here, let me just show you what the requirement is. And here you can see that, if I can go back here, zoom in a little bit so that it's easier to see. Here you can say requirement for RLM for standard 18031-1. So this is only for -1, but -1 is the one that most people have. So that's why I'm going to show this. Okay. Now, here, if I can just, what I'm trying to, okay. If I can take hidden on these. And here, one thing I want to show you is that in answer required information identifier, in this case, it does happen that there's nothing you need to answer. So be aware of that, that sometimes you don't need to answer anything. Okay, so here, network interface type, here you write down the interface, description, okay, here you write decision node, yes, protection, okay, and then comes how do you protect. For instance, yes, we have implement DOS protection in order to protect the user, okay, and then they write how this is done. So I just wanted to show you that quickly so that you know a little bit about the requirement itself before I go over to the testing part. So here is basically how does the equipment use resilient mechanisms to mitigate the effect of DOS attacks. Basically, how do you protect against DOS attacks? We're going to see now. Let's move over to the testing part. So just show the testing part. Let's go first to the SCM. And this, for some of you that you have sent a lot of mails to me, is a Wireshark test, which, as I said, in a little bit, we're going to show you how this is done. There's been a lot of questions, okay, how can you do this? So I've then, of course, asked our penetration tester to make sure that he can perform this. There have also been other tests that has been asked for. I think that is found in the RLM. There's been asked about how you do an Nmap scan. I will, of course, make sure that he shows how that is done. And HPing, how that is done. So, Øyvind, I think it's over to you now. They have asked, there's been a lot of emails about this, so I've promised them to show a test, and now it's over to you.
Yeah. Hello. I'm going to show you a few tests that you can run yourself on your device. First, I'll show you shortly about Wireshark. First, you just pick out which interface you're capturing from, and in my case it was Ethernet 0. And to show it's working, I will just refresh my test page. And you can see a lot of traffic. And if you can see the server hello, that is the most important part to capture because it tells you somewhere which cipher has been chosen. In this case, it's AES 128, which is best practice and good enough for security for most purposes. And then I can show you how to perform a short flood test. There are many ways to perform DDoS testing, but in this case I'm using HPing3. And I just run it, and it will send a lot of packages, which you can see up in the corner. You can see my CPU usage spiked a lot. And you can see this one is capturing a lot of nonsense data. It's just the web server doesn't know what to do with it, so if it's not set up correctly, it will just crash. But as you can see, it's answering just as quickly, so the device is just ignoring everything I'm sending towards it. And if I quit it, you can see that I've sent a lot of packages towards the web server without having any effect, which is a good thing. A different test we usually run is an Nmap scan. This scan will discover many or all open services available on the device. Usually we run a slightly different one which captures all the ports, but for time we are using a small one, but it's a bit slower than I expected. But at least it will show you which ports are open on this device and which version. And as you can see here, it finally returned, and you have multiple categories. One is closed. That's where the device says, this port is closed, I'm not going to respond to you. Open is where a program on the device is listening. So in this case, there is an SSH server, there is a web server, and an HTTPS server. Filtered is a different kind of refusal. The device just doesn't answer to any requests. I've adjusted the device I'm testing towards to show both ways of denying a response. Filtered is slightly better because the scanner doesn't know if, that's why it took a bit longer, but the scanner doesn't know if it's ever going to get a response, which makes the scan take a lot longer. That was everything.
Okay. So the reason we have gotten a lot of messages, can you show some tests? Can you show how it's done? And these are the two ones most asked. Nmap and Wireshark are the most asked one, and those are the one that we performed the most. And as always, if you have more questions, you can of course ask it in the chat, or you can wait until the end of the hour and ask it. Or if most of your questions, if you don't want to ask it in front of everybody, when you book the 1 hour consultancy meeting, you can ask it there. So I just want to make sure that we are showing you this so that you can see this, and so we have answered it. Then I also want to go through one requirement that I get a lot of questions about, and I personally I don't understand. I think once I show it, I think many people will understand why I'm getting at. This is coming specifically from the Asia part of the world, and they're asking what, and I will show you what it is. So let's go to it. Let's go to the requirement that is most asked about, and it's actually not the most difficult one. It's more the most, I think, it's a big misunderstanding, and the standard has done a couple of mistakes. So let's go to the one that is most asked about, which I think many people will be like, okay, first, why do you ask about? Why is that so many people have asked about this? And that is LGM4. Now, at first, I don't see I did not understand why people were asking so many questions around it. It was not until I looked at what the standard said that I started to understand why people were asking. So let me show you what the requirement is, and I think we're going to have a good laugh, all of us. Here, LGM, time-related information, persistent stored dog data. We get a lot of questions, what is dog data? There is no dog data. It's supposed to be log data. There's nothing more than that. It's supposed to be an L here, it's a D. So, of course, I think many people saw that and think, okay, is there something we're missing here? No, this is just a mistake in the standard. And of course, I have been asked if I can show you an example of how this will be solved. I will of course solve it in front of you so you can see for yourself that this is 100% normal. Another thing that I get a lot of questions, because I think they saw this and they were like, okay, is there something I'm missing? And then they read the requirement. All log data, as you can see, it says log, not dog, log. Log data stored in the equipment persistent storage by logging mechanism that are required per LGM1 shall include a timestamp if real time is available on the equipment. And then it comes and a time-related information if real time is not available on the equipment. So which one of them are you gonna, do you show both of them? Because it says and here. Once again, I understand why people are asking about this, because you see dog data and you see and here and you're thinking, okay, what is going on over here? This is just a simple mistake from the standard. For instance, this one here, it says and. But if you look down on the rationale, it says or. And if you go down to the decision tree, it says including a timestamp, yes or no. And then on the next thing, it says time-related information. So obviously, it's supposed to be an or here. There's nothing more to this. So log data and or. So I will go through it quickly just to show you that this can easily be solved. And this is nothing more special. Okay, this is just, okay, hide there. Okay, this is a mechanism. It asks for mechanism ID. You give a mechanism ID, LGM1. Then you give a description of it. This description, of course, comes from here. It's from here. So it's still the same solution, still the same. We go through it. Then, in this case, you don't need to write asset information about assets. Okay, then I will then hidden them. Then let's look at what it asks for in events. Just so you can see it for yourself. There's not much. It's not very difficult. It's just a mistake there, and because of that mistake, okay, this is for LGM1. Give me a, there it is. Because this is for, there you go. There you go, description, and now of course I have to take it down, and of course take it, show a little bit on this. Oh, okay, I have to take it there. Okay, let's see what it asks for. This asks for, go over here. If I can zoom out 1 bit, 2 bit, there. Description of log events where related log data is persistently stored on the equipment. When a user uses any function, it will be logged together with whom have done what and when this function was used and what was the functionality. This includes how long the user used the functionality. These log data also includes any connection made to from the equipment, including authentication, connection, etc. If more information is needed for log mechanism, see column F. This is column F, and it's pretty, it has been answered. Then we have this information identifier. Okay, let's go back to this, and this over here. Okay, let's go, if we can kind of go a little bit over there. Okay. Describe of each logging mechanism that is required that generates log in equipment persistent storage. That is basically how does it function, and this is answered here. So that's why I say this row. Okay, does the log data include timestamp? Yes. Okay, let's look at it. The log data shows time and date through the use of timestamp. There's also another information gathered, but we do use timestamp with time and date of the use functionality. That looks good. It looks so far so good. Then, as you can see, decision node 1 was yes. Decision node 1 is yes. Then you have to answer this. They have done. And then we go over here. Let's see if that is answered. Okay. Let's see what they have to answer here. Description of each real-time source. Okay, the source and corresponding timestamp, including persistent. Okay, Real-time source is gathered from time and date that built-in software. This is done during production of equipment before shipped to the store. Each time a user uses the functionality, it will place a time, date, whom, and functionality used into the log. Okay, fair enough, and that will be good enough. So, just to clarify, there's nothing more that needs to be done. The dog data and the missing of this, missing of it's supposed to be an or. It does not have a big impact when it comes to answering, or it does not impact the information identifiers in any big form. So, just so you can see it for yourself, this was pretty straightforward if you ask me. Now, when it comes to the testing part, give me a second. Testing part should not have any impact either. If I go to the testing part, let's go RLM1. Okay, and I think it was LGM1. Okay, where is LGM1? Is it down? LGM4 was it? Yeah. Okay, just to show you how it's. And once again, completeness test. Here it says none. And just to make sure that this is supposed to be correct, I think it is. Completeness 100. Okay, that is in document 2. I can just jump to LG. Go over here. Okay, down. Where is the completeness? Functional completeness. Here it is. I think there's for LGM. Completeness test. Where's completeness? Here it is. Therefore, the completeness assessment is not necessary, so that explains why it says none. Then it's only sufficiency. If you look at sufficiency, it says for each logging mechanism documented, function and confirmed that log data persistently stored on the equipment includes timestamp documented in when real-time information is available. Provide screenshot that shows that real-time information is available to the equipment. Generate an event and provide screenshot that log entry from the event demonstrate timestamps used. And here you have it. All log entries have a real-time information and there are timestamps attached to each log. All log files are stored in the subfolder of Rapid7 and logs can be accessed by using the software. So, that is it. There is nothing more to that. I just wanted to make sure that you can see it for yourself, that just because there are some mistakes in the standard, that there's nothing more to it. We can now go to the next part. We have still some time. Maybe I can do a last test just to see, because we have. Should I do RLM1 or? Because Wireshark is pretty well known. Let me try RLM1. Maybe that will be a more interesting. Yeah, let's try this one and see what the audience say. This can be an interesting test, just to see if they. And also, this gives them a chance to ask, even if they have any questions regarding the Nmap scan. So yeah, okay, we can do RLM1 just to round out, so that they get like a chance to ask questions around the testing part here for Nmap. And who knows, maybe they will ask something about Wireshark also if you have any questions around that. But I'm just picking that. And also, I think you can see if this is okay or not. So it will also be interesting to see if you have, maybe we can also see how well you understand Nmap. So, okay, the test. Verified that there are no network interface that are not listed in the documentation. Test method, perform a scan with Nmap and compare result with documentation. So, there is a Wi-Fi port which is used to connect the equipment to the app, and SFTP server on port 22. My question to you guys is this okay or not okay? We will take this is the last time we do the test for today, so we will take a 4-minute break where you give your last answers, and then we will get back and we will round up this course. So yeah, see you in 4 minutes. Okay, welcome back, welcome back. For the last time, I have asked you about the test scenario. Evaluators, you have to help me. I'm in crisis here. Daniel, what have they said?
Yes. So we have gotten a couple of feedbacks and actually some discussion as well. First one is that this is okay.
Okay.
The second one is also that this should be okay. A third one is that port 80 should be HTTPS and not HTTP, which is not encrypted, I assume. So traditionally or by default, the port 80 is for the hypertext transfer protocol. Meanwhile, it's 443 that's mainly for the HTTPS, but that can be changed or redirected, but correct input initially. Yeah. And then we have a couple of inputs. In my opinion, there should be a flood test performed on each of the two interfaces to show that the resilience mechanism actually works.
Very well spotted.
For me, it looks okay. Only the listened interfaces are opened, 998 are
good.
closed.
Very good scene.
For me, it is also okay. And another one is saying nmap command is missing parameters. Should it be -sv, for example? We also have maybe the Wi-Fi interface on port 80 is too generic because it's not documented the protocol. And another one is it's not okay. A VPN might be an option.
Yeah, that would be a more expensive option. They have only 6 months to comply.
And the last input we have, a little out of my normal type of equipment. It seems not to be best practice to have port 80 open for described use case. You should authenticate in order to connect to it. It shouldn't be default open for all to see. So, Oscar, here we have quite a lot of
range of
Someone thinks this is okay. Someone thinks our scan of the 900 and 1000 ports is
basically
good enough. Someone thinks we are missing ports that needs to be scanned. What is the
here I will say that this will be not okay, and the reason, as you guys can see, there's a range of answers here, and that is why I have a penetration tester, and also so that he can answer your questions in case you don't understand or there's more information needed. And of course also you have a 1 hour free consultation. Here I will of course say not okay. I will say, hey, can you, first of all, there's more than 1000 ports. There's much more. There's 65k ports that needs to be scanned. And then what about, so there might be more ports open when we scan all of the ports. And then there's also UDP if that needs to be, then also flow test. So yeah, I will on HTTPS because that port 80 with HTTP is not secure. So yeah, I will write not okay, and then I will write why I say it's not okay. So very well spotted by you that who said that this was not okay. But you can see that there's a lot of reasons why this is not okay, and hopefully by being here, you can now start to think more like an evaluator. Okay, how it is to evaluate such an answer. We have very little time left, so my plan here is that we will take a 10-minute break, and you guys can then ask all your questions to Daniel, and then after the break we will do the Q&A. So you can ask, this question does not need to be only about this, it can be about anything through the whole day. So ask whatever questions you like, and then I will see you in 10 minutes time.